Tonight, your time gets wasted.
We don't have all of God's reasons figured out, and we shouldn't expect to.
Steve explains heaven's vetting process.
Right, they didn't collect enough acorns.
And I discuss how I say tonight.
Tonight. I say tonight.
Why hello, my fellow apes.
And welcome to LowFruit, where Steve has finally put the microphone in the right place.
I've put the microphone in the right place. You're not going to get the and we're up like this because this sofa's so bad. I need a foam roller in order to have some number.
This isn't a tool to make us look powerful and masculine.
No, not at all. No, not at all. We're not doing that at all. So anyway, I think you should turn to the thing down here and tell the Y16. That's how many members we got now.
And us saying this now with the jokes about the Andrew Tate stuff will give you a good clue of how far behind our recordings are on things as well. So there you go. You'll now know how many videos in advance we got.
Well, that's what happened with this, wasn't it? They were like, can you please fix the mic? And I'm like,
10 videos later.
We would do that with 5 episodes. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's like, Steve, you've been doing this for a long time. Yeah, but I'm only a friend of YouTube, and thus I don't know all the details of how to do it. Right.
Honestly, that's never going anywhere. We are friend of YouTube, friend of LowFruit, friend of whatever. That is sticking around. That guy, incredible video.
Tell you what, merch, right? We're going to have to get some merch. We're going to have to get friend of YouTube shirts. There's lots of comments on you, and somehow getting an extra syllable in tonight. Well, not an extra syllable, but like, tonight. Just tonight.
That'll be an intro now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tonight. I say tonight.
Yeah. Right, okay. So what have we got? What are we looking at today?
We are looking at, I've forgotten his name, Red Line, something like that. I've literally forgotten. 5 reasons why God allows evil in 3 minutes.
Right, problem of evil, good, nice.
It's
and it's
less
in 3
than a
minutes.
minute for each reason.
It's like the biggest issue that Christians have. It's the biggest issue that theists have. It's a serious issue. It's like, just give me 3 minutes. Just give me 3 minutes. It's going to be over with. Don't worry.
Are we going to get the Mike Winger? Look, don't worry about it.
Don't think about it.
It'll sort itself out later.
Yeah, it will sort itself out. Listen, you actually thinking about it, you're a bad human being.
Yeah. Let us go.
This is one of the most difficult challenges to belief in God.
He acknowledges, this is one of the most difficult challenges, which is why I'm going to deal with it in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it'd be like rocket science in 3 minutes, right at the beginning. This is a really difficult thing to learn.
I'm going to explain to you the entirety of Einstein's theory of relativity in 3 minutes.
Quantum mechanics made easy. It's just a short. That's what you need. It's just a short.
If God is all good and all powerful, then why is there evil and suffering in the world? Now, this isn't just an academic challenge. It's deeply personal, especially for those of us who have experienced evil and suffering.
I have to say, it's not just why is there evil, it's why is there apparently gratuitous evil.
No one, this is it. And that's a very easy thing for theists to do, especially apologists. They'll recontextualize it as if the atheist is saying, I don't understand why you have to have some pain in order to have a tooth out. Like they recontextualize it like that. And it's like, no. There's the obvious states of gratuitous evil. Extinction of the dinosaurs, and of course Frank Turek, right? So like you got, that's what
What is the greater good of Frank Turek? Other than you being able to reference him every few videos.
I think that's
is that it?
I think that is it.
Is that greater than the harm that he
No,
causes?
you can go on a cruise with him.
Oh my word.
I know.
Why haven't you done this yet?
I should put out a GoFundMe so I can go on a cruise with Frank Turek. Oh my goodness, this would be it would be very bad for my mental health.
You will come back.
He or me are going overboard, but greater good and all.
You would lose significant amount of brain cells doing that. I don't know if you could manage it.
Kind of want to.
Okay.
Have you seen how blissful these people are?
Now, I don't have any illusions that I'm going to answer the problem of evil in this short video.
So did he not just title this, here's how I can deal with this really easily?
Yeah, 5 reasons why God allows evil. So this would suggest that he's got the answers. In fact, he's not just got the answers, he's got five answers.
And he's got them in 3 minutes. This feels clickbait. This is like, I've got the answers, 3 minutes. The first 20 seconds is, it's actually a really hard question and I don't have the answers completely clearly for you.
I suppose.
Yeah.
How to answer it in 3 minutes, I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
I could have done it, well, within the 20 seconds, clearly.
It's very true. Now, questionable B-roll here. Is this like that Todd guy just trying to get some tax-exempt items? Just put them in a video and then you're going to be like, my coffee maker is now good.
Or is this a 3-minute advert for the coffee maker?
Please.
Or the coffee.
Yes.
However, I want to highlight some of the ways that Christians have responded. These are typically called theodicies. They are reasons why God might allow bad stuff to happen. For example, we might talk about the fall. The world...
Actually, I'm going to stop him there because there's something that annoyed me there already. Why God allows bad stuff to happen?
Yeah.
It's like he's already diminished it down to bad stuff.
Yeah, you've got like the extermination of like entire species. Like, here's just one thing, right? Pick any year you want. Say 10 million years ago, there's this sentient creature, it's intelligent, and it is just dying from starvation. It also, because of like genetic anomalies, it has a bad set of genes, and so it's really struggling. It's got like a blood problem, and it's just sad. It's just incredibly sad, and it's dying for apparently no reason and suffering for no reason. They're bad things.
Yeah.
It just softens it to
Volcanoes,
points like it's a failure to empathise with the plight. Like this, you're right. One of the things you have to do to take this problem seriously, is you have to recognise just how awful the world can be. And using words just like bad, I don't know.
Bad stuff.
Yeah. Now, I do like the glasses. You know, like one thing that is huge in apologetics, analogies and props and things along those lines, because, you know, a lot of people learn better that way. So I'm liking this. He's got the Fool, which he's, giving a little bit of a...
anyone who's watched this knows already what our stance on the Fool, or also known the Trap,
The trap, yeah, he's got the trap.
The world isn't the way God originally made it. Human beings were placed into the Garden of Eden, and it was good. But they disobeyed. They brought sin into the world, and that act of sin has consequences.
So we've got to talk about, for starters, this Fool cannot be literal. There wasn't a Garden of Eden. There wasn't an Adam and Eve. Because the pain, suffering, all the devastation, everything happened well before humans came onto the scene.
Yeah.
So you've got to contextualise the Fool some other way, really.
Well, yeah, this is like the reason why we have so many theists having such a problem with evolution, right? On the one hand, they want to accept evolution because it's true, but that makes the Fool become, well, is it allegory? Is it metaphor? Like, is it true in any sense of the word? Like, what's trying to be expressed with it? And so, yeah, like, one big thing here is that he's requiring those that are starting to question, you know, why God allows evil, to have a very, very controversial view. A view that just isn't scientifically recognised, a view that is only recognised in actually quite, like, pretty significantly conservative circles. That's not to say that the Fool in general, because a lot of them will still believe in the Fool, but they have to go for this like half-baked
some sort of allegorical
kind of thing like that. Now, when he's talking about the Fool and he's like, this is why evil's entered into the world, remember, we're talking about an all-powerful God. An all-powerful, all-loving God. So he deliberately creates a situation, as we've spoken about before. He creates a situation, a trap, which, by the way...
Didn't notice that they were disobeying him.
The trap, okay. The trap, all right. He didn't notice that they were going to disobey, or knew that they would anyway.
No, because he couldn't find them afterwards, remember? So where are you?
What, an all-powerful person couldn't find someone? Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Where are you?
And then, yes, as a result of this, he couldn't fix anything. He couldn't repair the world.
No.
Obviously. Our damage, it had to not only continue through us, it had to then apply to all the animals and the world itself.
Yeah.
And remember, the great sin that caused all of this problem was knowing the difference between good and evil.
Yeah. You have to be very indoctrinated to think that this in any way answers the problem of evil. It is absurd.
This is a theodicy that is essentially incompatible with reality.
Yep. I mean, like, as you were saying about buying the Fool, it's like, well, we know dinosaurs existed before humans. So what are we to believe? How do they fall into the fall? Where was their suffering? Like, what happened on that front? Were they just
Maybe.
not going extinct beforehand? Have they planted the fossils afterwards and dated them to certain extents? Like, it's lunacy.
The Apostle Paul says that the whole creation has been groaning. So there's the fall. Next, some Christians appeal to human free will as another reason why God might allow evil and suffering in the world.
For fuck's sake. So, first of all, the fall. He just went, here's the fall. That's it. That's all he's got. He just went the fall. He hasn't actually expanded upon it and how it applies to these various cases of evil. He hasn't said this is how it deals with the dinosaurs. Here's how it deals with, children being born with leukemia. Here's how it's born with how it deals.
Yeah,
with...
he's not expanded on how it deals with it. He just said, here's some things that
he's been, here's a solution.
do deal with it.
Yeah, and no application, which means he's not actually dealt with any of the rejoinders. And this is very, very typical of apologetics. All they will do is present the response, and that's it. So, you take the Euthyphro dilemma. What happens is someone goes, look, either God commands something because it is good, and so goodness exists outside of him, or something is good simply because he commands it, and so it's not really morality, it's just completely arbitrary. The theist comes back, going, no, it's to do with God's nature, knowing full well that there's a response to this, and that is that you actually are just creating a tautology here. You're not answering it whatsoever, because if God commands rape, which he does in Deuteronomy, which he does in Numbers,
it still becomes good because he's commanded
it's in his nature. So you basically you just rephrase it to, does God choose his nature?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, arbitrary. If the answer is no, well, what's it aligning with then? But they won't give you these rejoinders. Rather, it's just this blanket and unfortunately, it works. It does work with a plot.
So far, this is striking me as not someone who's necessarily evaluated these things himself, but someone who's heard that there are these 5 theodicies on Wikipedia and only just essentially the opening text for each one, and that's it.
Yeah, basically.
So obviously, we've now got free will.
Yep.
That doesn't deal with earthquakes. It doesn't deal with tsunamis, volcanoes, any other natural disasters we can think of. Forest
dinosaurs,
fires.
Frank Turek.
Yeah,
kind of does deal with Frank Turek actually. He's all right. But
meteors. Yeah, it doesn't deal with natural disasters whatsoever. No. And those, by the way, those natural disasters probably make up the vast majority of what we would consider.
You're right, but the only ones that he could argue that it does is human induced. But then who designed the situation so that humans can actually cause these kinds of disasters? God. Yeah. God designed it, right? You said about the fall being a deeply controversial topic, right? In the sense of no one outside of these bubbles take this seriously. This isn't a debated topic by scholars, right? This is just basically fundamentalists, and that's it, right? Free will. You go into the debate of free will, libertarian free will is what he's referencing here, not compatibilism or anything anything such as determinism. He's going specifically for libertarian free will.
Yes.
And when we look at libertarian free will, what % of philosophers buy it?
Not many.
They're all theists. So you go into philosophy, you go, which percentage of the philosophers are atheists? Massive. Those that disbelieve, put it that way, is in the 80%. And then you go, okay, so about 15-20% are confirming theism, yeah? What % confirm libertarianism? About 12 to 15. So massively controversial answer. So basically what he's got, really big problem. Here's something that no one buys outside of our fundamentalist circle, and here's something that no one buys outside of our fundamental circle.
That kind of applies to all of these theodicies, though.
Yeah.
Because the fall isn't going to be bought outside of the fundamentalist circle.
Exactly.
And the argument that we're about to see very shortly, as we can see in the picture of the glasses there with the greater good, again, that's not going to exist outside of...
At least the greater good is a philosophical concept that isn't requiring you to buy something that's just not true. Free will requires you to buy libertarian free will, which we have plenty of evidence to suggest the contrary.
Yes,
the fall requires you to buy... Do you want to
hit very, 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 very quickly what libertarian free will explicitly is then?
Sure. So when we live our day-to-day lives and I choose to pick up my drink that says The Trap, this feels like I have decided to do it and there was nothing that caused me to do it. I had considerations in my mind, but I could have chosen not to do it. Well, as we've moved on, that's what libertarian free will is actual true agency that's not determined by prior causes, at least not entirely. Whereas what we've discovered through science is that's just intuition.
Yeah,
That actually isn't the
look at
case. That's not
reality.
how that works.
I'm thirsty.
Yes.
There is a drink nearby.
Yeah.
There, I've deliberately put it there, knowing
Yeah.
that I'm going to want to drink from.
Yeah, yeah.
So all these sort
I
of
want to drink it
factors-
because it has coffee in.
Yes.
Right? All of these factors. And when you consider all of these things, you realize actually my choice is entirely deterministic. And then what you have is the philosophical views of one, determinism, which just says all of it's deterministic. And so free will is to a large extent, if not entirely, actually an illusion. And then you have compatibilism, which goes, look,
You are making choices.
you're
but they
making
are
choices,
informed.
but it's compatible with determinism.
Yeah.
And this intuition, this religious framework that requires you to have libertarian free will, that's nonsense, but you still have free will in every sense that matters. Now, the reason why they need free will, I should say, is because the only way you can make sense of actual redemption in the way that theistic frameworks have it, like being bound to hell forever, is if you are truly, entirely responsible for the acts that you commit.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then it becomes grey and very difficult to justify. So they need to be able to put that on you permanently. And that's why free will is something that they really do not want to give up.
Yeah. And of course, this doesn't apply to animals either. So
No.
you've still got the problem of all the pain and suffering within the rest of the animal kingdom.
Yep.
So this only deals with a very, very small segment of the problem of evil, and I wouldn't even say it does a good job of it.
The free will theodicy posits that evil and suffering exist as a consequence of humans having the freedom to make choices, which includes the possibility of choosing to do evil. As a matter of fact, the Bible's full of people exercising their free will in disobedience of God, and suffering results.
But it's also full of, I can think of one straight off of the things, of where God overrides someone's free will.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He hardens Pharaoh's heart. So God clearly doesn't care that much about our free will to allow suffering to happen. In fact, he overrides someone's free will in order to cause more suffering.
Yeah. And this is the thing, that he's not going to be able to contextualize this very well with the Bible at all. So like when we think about evil, we would say going over to someone and like forcing them into slavery, that's evil. Killing all of the men in the family and killing all the little boys, but taking the little girls for myself, that's evil. But God commands it, and all of a sudden...
So this is the other problem, isn't it? Is how does free will now stack up against God's commands?
Yeah.
If God commands you to do an act which you would consider to be evil, and you choose not to do it, you're now evil because not doing God's command violates all of your moral intuitions.
It's such a mess.
Not carrying out genocide
Yeah.
becomes an evil thing
Yep.
because God commanded it. So what's the free will doing there?
I know, it's amazing. It's like the theistic framework will say to you, right and wrong is written on your heart. That's your intuition. That's God giving you the laws. You go, okay, well, I think that this is really, really wrong. But God commanded it, and therefore it's actually right. And it's like, well, what do you mean? And then they're like saying here, buy into libertarian free will, and actually it's about the exercising of your libertarian free will as to whether or not you're justified going to heaven or going to hell. And I'm like, well, there's no way to actually navigate this space whatsoever. Like, this is...
So free will doesn't actually deal with any of the biblical claims in the sense of not only does God override it, but you've got all these commands where God tells people explicitly to genocide others. And it's like, we're sitting here going, that's evil. And then you coming back with the theodicy, free will, doesn't deal with the claim that the Bible is evil.
No. No, not at all. I don't know how they find this convincing at all.
No?
Well, I do. What it is they're like, ooh, that person said something, that atheist said something that's actually resonating with me a little bit. I need to go to my pastor. I need to go to a YouTube video and just hear that smarter people than me have thought about this.
Figured it out, yes.
And like, actually, there's this really complicated thing called a theodicy. And what the theodicy is doing, and there's really smart philosophers and theologians that believe this. And, you know...
Yeah. I almost feel like calling it a theodicy is an academic cover.
Yeah.
Because if you just called it excuse,
Yeah.
it doesn't quite.
If they called it what it is, if they went, actually, there's this really complicated thing to explain the problem of evil. It's called a polished turd. You're not really going to swallow it, are you? But if they go, there's a theodicy. Oh, quite.
Another reason might be for a greater good. Greater good theodicies posit that despite the presence of evil and suffering, there exists a greater good or purpose that justifies or outweighs the existence of such evil and suffering.
And this is, you've got to deal with the apparent gratuitous evil here. So you've got to pick something that seems to have no greater good whatsoever.
Yeah.
And say, yeah, but it was for the best somehow.
Yeah, it's not good enough to just look at things like, oh, why did I stump my toe? Well, maybe it's because, it teaches you to look out for your environment. And no, you have to go for the worst of the worst. Why did that young child get, completely emaciated and raped and destroyed? What's going on in that situation? Why has there been 5 mass extinctions long before we even turned up? Must be for the best somehow. The pious location of Lisbon, right?
Yeah.
Super pious, gets crushed with a massive wave. Must be for the best somehow. Didn't want to crush, the atheists over in this corner, or the Muslims over in that corner. No, it crushes the central point of Christian dominion. No, must be for the best somehow. They have to say that about everything.
And what you then have is whatever you think. This is one where it's trying to override your intuitions. Mm-hmm. Whatever you think is incredibly evil. No. It wasn't evil because it allowed for something better.
Yeah.
And this is where you essentially end up with. I'm going to have to go there. You have to.
You do.
The Holocaust was the best thing that could have happened.
Oh, because it provided fertilizer. That's the kind of mentality these people have.
The thing is you have to say that because
you have to.
To say that the Holocaust wasn't for the best somehow would be to say that there was gratuitous evil in the world.
Yeah, you cannot say that any gratuitous evil exists. One bit of it, game over for the all-powerful, loving God. Yes. You have to say all of it is for the best somehow. Yeah. All of it is for the greater good. And so they do have to actually, even if they often don't realise that they're committed to it. And that's actually, by the way, from my experience of talking with a lot of theists, that's why they don't recognise the problem of evil for what it is. I had that debate with Sharon Dirks, for example. Yeah. She just doesn't seem to understand that, she was like, you're trying to force me to have this really hefty position. I'm like, no, that is your position. Yeah. The second you admit of gratuitous evil, it's game over, it's done.
And obviously what was difficult in that is she said, but God has a reason.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're saying God has a reason, you're saying it must be for the best somehow.
Yeah, it has to
be. And it's where you've got, think of Chernobyl with the reactor leak. Mm-hmm. The people that died from the cancers, or the people that basically their cells melted while they were in their beds.
Yep.
Well, it was for the best somehow.
Yeah.
You can't...
You have to do that for all of it. One that comes to my mind, because I'm making a video on it at the moment, the Mongols. The
Mongol invasions,
yeah, the Mongol invasions, right? And you've just got Genghis Khan and then all of the rest of the Khans going around entirely exterminating in just full cities. Somehow God allowed it because it's for the greater good. Yeah. Because what? 1,000 years later, there's going to be a church erected.
Similar thing I'm doing at the moment. The White Ship disaster.
Yeah.
Oh, all the nobles of the land drowned, or the youth of the nobles drowned, which sparked off a civil war. That was for the best.
For the best somehow, has to be.
It's mad. Yeah. It just. I don't understand how anyone can think that this particular theodicy works.
It's mind rot. Now, you say this particular theodicy. My view is that. Say it's my view. Quite a few people have this view as well. All theodicies are just the greater good. That is actually the actual answer he's giving you is only it's for the best somehow. That is what all theodicies are doing. So take free will. What's it actually saying? It's for the best somehow. Take the Fool. It's for the best somehow.
Yeah, because it's with free will. It's God allows you to have free will because that is the maximal good. Is having free will, even though he can override it and does.
Yes. Yeah. Precisely. So basically, you've got as he's got the glasses, he separates the theodicies out. It's not like that. Actually, the answer you get is it's for the best somehow, greater good, and then it actually pivots to here's some ways you can explain it. And realizing that for me was quite a big point on going. Wow, they are committed to some serious serious philosophy here. Like this is some serious stuff.
One example is found in Genesis 50:20. Joseph endures tremendous evil at the hands of his brothers. But he says to his brothers, "As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today."
Fight to the Holocaust. Go on.
Just apply it to other stories in the Bible.
Yeah, Numbers. You can go Numbers 30. You can do Numbers. You can do Deuteronomy. Like, yeah, just apply it to any of these disgusting, horrible stories in the Bible.
Owning slaves. Was
Owning
for the
slaves.
best
Yeah.
somehow.
Jesus coming down and saying, "Slaves, obey your masters." Just apply it to that. You know, like Leviticus saying, "Go to the lands around you to take these slaves that you can give to your children as property, their inheritance." Go on, apply it.
Well, let's take the Jesus one a bit further, right? Because he comes down, he institutes hell, and he also says, "No one gets to Lord but through me."
Yep.
So he now makes it harder for people to get to heaven.
Yep.
As well as introducing ultimate punishment, right? That's for the best somehow. He made things better by making sure more people suffer.
This is the thing, right? A lot of people look at Jesus, and a lot of atheists do this, and they go, "I do actually like his teaching." This is where you get like cultural Christians and stuff. But I agree with Bertrand Russell. Any man that comes to Earth in any form and says that, like, invents hell as a concept, you're scum. You're scum. Like, that immediately is gonna outdo so much of your teaching, if not all of it. And because you're talking about infinite outcomes, should it be true? Like, it's just awful. Like, I don't know how anyone can have so much hate in their heart to want someone to suffer for eternity. You have to be fucked up for that.
Jesus' death on a cross would be another example of a great good coming from a horrendous evil.
Isn't it funny how we just said how Jesus would be the ultimate evil, actually?
I know.
He's come to...
This great good concept with Jesus as well, this is just parasitic, of course, on the fall.
Yes.
You know, it's like, I think just reminding people of what story has to be accepted here can do the work, right? You have to believe in so many controversial and morally repugnant things. You have to believe in inherited sin. Everyone, Christians as well, if you was to go up to their child and want to mistreat their child because of something that they did, let alone like one of their ancestors from like 1,000 years or back did, they would attack you. And they should. It's disgusting. And yet that is central to the fall. That's central to Adam and Eve. And then, just worse, if I then sacrifice some other child to make up for that sin so that I can like gaslight your child into saying, look, really kind thing. We actually, allowed that person to suffer to deal with the sin that this person has because they inherited it from someone else. This is just wild. It's so repulsive.
I'm pretty sure the Bible has verses where it says that one shouldn't be punished for the sins of the father. But it then also has verses saying the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
And obviously original sin is the complete opposite of that.
It's all full of hypocrisy.
With the first sin, so the first evil being knowing the difference between good and evil.
Yeah.
So here's a problem, right? Mm-hmm. What is a greater good when one doesn't know evil?
Doesn't make any sense.
So,
not to you, at least.
No. Because one thing they will, or I've seen, is this idea that God allows evil to show you how good and gracious he is.
Yeah.
It's like, so he created evil in order to make him look good.
Sometimes it can be that. I mean, they tend to go more for soul-building theodicy, which I think he's going to turn to, right?
Possibly. I'm just saying that this is an argument I've seen.
Yeah.
And the thing that I can't understand about that is you're saying he's all good, or it's in his nature to be good, but to show off that he created evil.
Yeah.
That's baffling.
Utterly baffling.
And he would have to create evil for there to be a difference to it, because he was the beginning. Mm-hmm. You can't square away the God of the Bible with an all good being. You have to allow. You can have him as all powerful, but also one that is evil at times.
It only makes sense to these people because they are so entrenched in it. It's utterly, like, honestly, it is genuinely insane to believe in these things, and yet because you get to that question of what's the difference between a myth and religion? It's subscription. That's what it is. What's the difference between being schizophrenic and being religious? If enough people believe it, that does qualify it, right? Now, of course, there's other elements to schizophrenia, but it's to do with, do you believe the wacky view?
Yeah, because you got... if an atheist claims to be hearing voices, it will get examined.
Yeah.
But if a Christian says, I've heard the voices of angels...
the whole community goes, oh, that's great. I'm glad that God's communicating with you. Isn't that really sweet? Yeah, God works in mysterious ways. That's totally a normal thing. Don't worry about it.
Another reason why God might permit evil and suffering is called the soul-making theodicy.
Oh, you called it.
I called it. There we go. Oh, to be fair, what's he got afterwards as well?
No. We'll try and avoid predicting. So
Okay,
soul-making theodicy. Let's let him explain it a little bit.
Go on in. Let's hear it.
It's argued that some evil and suffering is necessary for the development of human souls. In this view, this world serves as a veil of soul-making, where struggles and trials faced by individuals contribute to the formation of their characters.
A child.
Yep.
Okay. Born. Has a really serious condition, or just actually suffocates on the way out. Dies.
It's the soul building for the mother.
Yep, soul building for the mother. What about the kid? What was it? Was the kid so holy that it just speed ran the whole thing? Is that how that works? Some people, God creates some people who go, you're going to have to suffer a lot for a long life. This person, I'm sorry, it's a mild inconvenience. You're going to have to be alive for 12 seconds. You're going to be speed ran, but don't worry, all of your character would have been built by that time, and you get to go straight to heaven. There's another angel in heaven. What are you on about?
Mount Vesuvius erupted
Yeah.
to help build the souls of the people that it annihilated.
The thing is,
Those children that burned alive during that eruption, well, there's your soul building speedrun done.
and this is the problem with this greater good bullshit that's going on. He could just sit there with a bird's eye view as this volcano comes in and just annihilates and exterminates the entirety of the village. And he can go to some of them and go, right, that baby that's just it's enjoyed its food, it's going to sleep, and it just got covered with lava. Well done, mate. Your soul building was complete. Really good. You're really good at life. You completed it well quick, and you're going straight to heaven, right? Meanwhile, there's an old man that's running across. It took you longer, but don't worry, God's real smart, right? Your soul building's complete, so you're probably going to heaven now, unless you're an atheist, in which case you're not.
But again, let's apply this back into the stories of the Bible. Let's assume the Bible's true. Okay, so those people that were genocided by the Jews, what was their soul building? Being killed.
They apparently needed a long and arduous and horrible soul building process.
Yeah.
But they didn't believe in Jesus.
So they don't get any reward as well.
No.
So they just get fucked. They don't get a chance at redemption.
No.
They just get fucked.
Yeah. The soul building is actually for us watching and going, damn, they're in hell now.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, let's go
wow. I think I've learnt my lesson.
What's the soul of the Israelites that's doing all this killing and maiming in God's name?
Go on.
Well, you taught them to just go and genocide everyone around you. What sort of person have you created there, God?
No. It builds the perpetrators. It builds their souls.
Yes, but what sort of soul has you built is what I'm saying.
Tough love. Okay, like the Father himself is tough love. And to the people that get annihilated, tough love, right? All of this is just a plaster that can go onto anything. Going back to the lava, going over everyone, right? Some person, two children, let's say, or just two teens, one of them gets melted.
Teams.
Say teams, right?
Two teams.
Two teams, right? Two teams.
We got the red team and the blue team.
We got the red team. Blue team gets crushed, right? Under debris. Soul building complete. Blue team, okay.
You started with blue team, so this is red team.
Okay, blue team 2, okay, assumptions, right? Blue team 2, they live. And we're meant to, what would have to happen here is you'd look at them and go, their souls are being built, but it's not quite built. They needed these lessons to be built up. So the reason they didn't die and go to heaven is they didn't actually quite hit the mark, right? They didn't collect enough acorns. That principle of how they can level up. They just didn't get there.
It says quite a bit, doesn't it? It's like, so when people die, that's because God allowed them to die now because he's decided their soul is built.
Yep.
And most of them are going to hell because that's where he wants them to go.
Yep.
The people that, pulled through and continue to suffer, they're not done yet. There's a bit more work to do before they go to hell.
Yeah, bit more work, bit more work. That makes sense. Yeah. But again, greater good, isn't it? All of this is greater good.
Yeah, it rolls back to greater good.
This world gets us ready to spend eternity with God.
Heaven can't be anything like this world because there can't be free will in heaven because you
can't be free will
because there's no evil up there.
I know. Free will. Yeah, precisely. Free will was used to justify the evil. Do you have free will in heaven? Yes, you do.
You can't.
Well, they have to come up with this idea that we're basically just robots or something, which means we're not free.
But
because if you can do evil...
But if this world... Also, he's saying this world prepares us for heaven. You don't go through pain and suffering to prepare you for bliss.
No.
What you go through tends to prepare you for something that it could well be worse.
I see what you mean. So you're saying... Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's kind of like... So, I'm going to practice swimming so I can just run.
Yeah,
it's like,
this is what I'm saying. Is when you practice swimming, it's because you're trying to get into a competition or something.
Yeah.
So you're preparing for that.
Yeah.
When we go kayaking, it's to prepare for a longer session.
So really, soul building should consist of nothing but goodness, and then
heaven. If it's to prepare you for heaven.
But Reese, without the light, without the dark, you don't have the light.
So I'm saying going through suffering prepares you for being with God.
Yeah.
Would suggest to me that being near God is quite intense suffering.
I would say so.
Some argue that God allows evil and suffering because he wants to reveal certain things about himself that otherwise we wouldn't know.
You not
so actually,
do that in the Bible?
Isn't this what I said earlier? God created evil so you could see how good he is.
Yes, it is.
let's just make.
But hold on. He tells you in the Bible that he's good.
Yeah,
he creates things and he goes, and it was good.
I want to.
Go on, let him land.
For example, it's in a world with sin that God demonstrates his grace, his mercy, his forgiveness, his justice.
Not appearing to demonstrate any of them. Yes, he shows them by not appearing to demonstrate any of them. And in fact, the Bible would say that he's not merciful, he's not just. But yeah, so I'm right. He's saying that God created pain, suffering, and torment so that you can see how merciful he is.
Just imagine if you did this as a parent. If you deliberately withheld food from your children. If you deliberately withheld shelter. If you actually allowed and permitted abuse to happen to them so that you could just go, look how nice I am. Look how smart I am. Look how kind I am. And by the way, I'm going to tell you I'm kind anyway in the Bible. I'm going to tell you that I'm awesome in the Bible, but I also want you to experience it.
I killed 10,000 people so I could take their money and give it to charity.
Fair. Yeah, fair. That's lovely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good.
And I had to make sure you knew that I gave all this money to charity because I want you to know how good of a person I am.
You're so good, Reese. You're so good.
It's utterly nonsensical.
Yeah.
You create suffering, pain, and torment. You create evil so that everyone can see that compared to evil, you're quite the good guy.
But he has put it in coffee, so I'm convinced.
His forgiveness, his justice, and even his enemy love.
He offers even his enemy love. That's not true. Everyone that he doesn't worship him goes to hell.
Yeah.
That's
there shall
love.
be no God before me. Right? Go out there, exterminate everyone that's not got my views. That's what you're getting in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And then it's if you cannot convince yourself of a proposition that I know you can't convince yourself of because it's insane, inherited sin, vicarious redemption, what a disgusting concept, right? Hitchens emphasised this. If you did something wrong, I might be able to pay the fee for you. I cannot take the moral responsibility. That's not a thing that can happen. It's disgusting to think that that's possible, and yet Christianity is built on it. It can be done. I can't convince myself of this bullshit. And what does God do? I'm his enemy. I go to hell forever.
It's baffling to me.
So we've looked at some of the reasons why God might allow evil and suffering, but I want you to notice something. There's still some liquid left over. That's because
Because you haven't answered anything.
Yep.
That's because we don't have all of God's reasons figured out, and we shouldn't expect to.
We haven't got all of God's reasons figured out. Again, this is greater good.
Yeah. It's just greater good.
You should just
All of
pour
it is
that
greater
back in.
good.
You should pour all of them back into the greater good.
Yeah,
one.
actually, we still got some left. You still got all of it left. You haven't drank a drip. Like,
I also like, how have you figured these ones out?
yeah.
Because God didn't tell you that these were the answers.
No.
And they seem incongruent with the Bible.
It's all inference. Yeah. I mean, like, obviously he'd argue, no, that we do know it. The fool's told to us by God.
Ultimately,
Blah, blah, blah.
all of these theodicies, someone just made them up. They're not biblical.
The fool is.
The fool is. The rest of it isn't.
Free will, no, that's more inferential. Greater good, they're all greater good. God wants to show you how awesome he is. That's kind of biblical.
He wants to show you how powerful he is in the Bible, not how good he is.
Yeah. You know, like that scene in like 300 where it's like, I am merciful. That is what God's doing. And that is in the Bible, to be fair. So he has got like that element going on. This isn't an answer, man. Like, oh my goodness.
Start again and spend more than 3 minutes.
Please.
He's God, we're not. We do our best to understand God's ways, and then we trust him.
Wait. He's God and we're not, so don't worry about it.
That-
That is
don't-
the Mike Winger argument.
It's the Mike Winger argument, and that is what you get. That's what greater good gives them. They go, must be for the best somehow, so don't think about it. You're all good. Don't think about it.
What you should have just done for this video is just go, trust not your own understanding.
Yep. You know what? He says he's done it in like 3 minutes. You're right. You could have just done like problem of evil debunked in 30 seconds. Video starts. This is a really difficult topic. Okay? There's no way I can actually answer it. But just have faith.
Just have faith. It must be for the best somehow.
Oh, that's the faith face I was just pulling. Now, that other video we did where the woman was just like, it's faith face.
The faith
I feel good.
Right. Well, that was hot garbage. So,
Yeah, that was pretty basic bare bitch apologetics. But I do think that our reviewing it was legitimately for the greater good.
yeah, we've saved some lives today, I'm sure.
I think that that's fair. So what an episode.
We've done some soul building for all of you watching.
Yeah. The most important souls, your names are now on screen. So
Yes,
thanks very much.
yeah,
Really
yeah.
appreciate it. What are we up to on Patreon now? I think we're getting like $70.
Don't know.
That's freaking good, mate.
Maybe we'll get some decorations.
What do we want to get? I don't know. I'm curious. What do we buy with that? A plant?
Let us know what we should buy with the $70 you've made for us.
What can I buy? It's going to be good.
See you next time. Bye!